So you've picked your race and your class, but what's next?
Well, it's time to figure out how proficiency works and choose your character's skills. Well met, heroes. I'm Monty Martin.
And I'm Kelly McLaughlin.
And we are the Dungeon Dudes.
So today we're taking a look at proficiency and skills in Dungeons & Dragons. But Monty, why don't you tell us what is proficiency and what does it mean to us in this game?
Well, proficiency, or the proficiency bonus, is a number that your character is going to be adding to many of their attack rolls, ability checks, saving throws, and other numbers that are important to your character. Unlike ability scores, which represent your character's natural proclivities, the proficiency bonus represents their hard-acquired skills and training. This is why the proficiency bonus is a number that's actually going to slowly increase as your characters gain levels.
So why don't we take a closer look? So your proficiency bonus is a fixed number that increases over time. And it's quite easy to determine what your proficiency bonus is because it will be listed under your character class that you've chosen in the player's handbook.
Yes, and the proficiency bonus is always the same for all characters of all classes that are the same level. So all first level characters have a +2 proficiency bonus, just like all 6th level characters have a +3 proficiency bonus.
Now, in the player's handbook, each class has a list of skills that you get to choose to train in, and it will tell you how many you get to choose as well.
Yes, and you'll also get to train in a few additional skills that might be granted to you by your background or even your character race if you're playing a variant human or a half-elf. In all cases, the proficiency bonus and the ability score modifier are often added together, and then you take both those numbers and apply them to a d20 roll. When your character is proficient in a skill, there's a whole list of skills such as acrobatics, athletics, arcana, perception, insight, and much, much more.
I thought he was going to do the whole list there.
I was not going to do the whole list. There's like 20 skills. And in fact, there's a whole bunch of other proficiencies like tools, vehicles, and languages. Whenever you make a d20 roll that one of these skills could apply to, that's called making an ability check. And sometimes the Dungeon Master will say, give me a stealth check, which is really just a shorthand for saying, give me a dexterity ability check, but if you're proficient in stealth, you get to add your stealth proficiency bonus.
So any skill that you are not proficient in just takes its number from the ability scores, with the exception to certain class or racial abilities that may change that. But most of the time, skills that you're not proficient in, it lists which ability is tied to that.
The character sheet gives you a couple shorthand shortcuts. So for example, if my character is proficient in acrobatics, I'm going to check that off on the character sheet. And then what I can do is that I can see that acrobatics applies my dexterity modifier. If I know that my character has a dexterity score of 16, that gives him or her a +3 dexterity modifier. If I'm a first level character, my proficiency bonus is +2. So I add these numbers together. My modifier and my proficiency bonus, 3 plus 2 is 5. So I'm going to write down on my character sheet that I have a +5 bonus to acrobatics checks. You can go down the list and fill out each skill in this way. If you're not proficient in a skill, just write down the raw ability score modifier and add your proficiency where it applies. Whenever you gain proficiency in something that you're already proficient in, you get to choose another proficiency of the same category. So if you're given proficiency in a set of tools that you already are proficient in, choose another tool. If you gain a language that you already know, choose a different language. If you get a skill that you already know, choose another skill. There's no such thing as a skill check in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, but there are times when your skill proficiency applies to an ability check. So if you're getting a little bit confused about the ruling, just remember that ability checks allow you to use your proficiencies in skills when the Dungeon Master says that they apply.
Yeah, and so skills are going to be probably the main thing you're rolling at any time, and your dungeon master will announce when you are going to be rolling that d20. I will also say that there are certain skills that usually come up a lot more than others, and it's important to maybe talk to your DM about which ones are going to be coming up at the table a lot, because if you end up training in a few of the ones that end up never coming up, you'll feel like you may have wasted that effort on your character.
Yeah. Stealth, acrobatics, athletics, you can almost never go wrong with those skills. And of course, there's the all-important perception and investigation skills.
You want at least one person at the table who has a high perception, because I find that one comes up in almost any situation.
Yeah. Now, bear in mind that as a player, you're not actually going to use these skills in the sense of, like, don't say, I roll a stealth check. No. Say, my character sneaks around the corner and hides underneath the box. Then your DM is going to ask you to make a stealth check.
Yeah.
If you want to look around the room and examine things visually, say it. Don't tell your dungeon master you want to make a perception check. That's a useless piece of information. Tell the DM how you want to examine something, what you want to do using natural language, and don't feel bound by the skills listed on your character sheet for describing that. On the flip side, DMs should also feel very empowered to use the skills creatively in lots of different ways.
So now you've figured out your proficiency bonus and you've filled out your skills on your character sheet. And that's really going to help with figuring out what to add to your dice rolls when you're playing the game.
Yeah, now of course your proficiency modifier and ability scores also play into your character's attack rolls and spellcasting, but those have some additional properties behind them, so we're going to look at that in the video right over here.
And if you're looking for a group to play D&D with, we have a video for tips on that over here.
If you need to pick up any of the D&D rules, you could follow the links right down below for those.
Please subscribe so that you never miss an episode.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time
In the dungeon.